Hello children, we are going to start the first chapter of our social science, that is Rise of British Rule in India. We are going to learn about the Britishers who came to India for trade and how slowly they acquired power and ruled India for almost 250 years. Let us see how they established their empire into India. The period between 1757 to 1947 is known as British era. Okay. Now 1757 is Battle of Plassey. That is the first battle, you can consider it as the first battle that was fought between the Britishers and Indians. To 1947, that is the independence, when we got independence, that particular duration is termed as British era. Now there are many questions that we need to solve. First is why British leave India, why they left India, what did what they did in India, okay, what led to their exit. So the answers of all this are available into 15th century. Let us go into it. India's trade with Europe. India's major trade centers was in past. India was a very big center of trade in the past time before the arrival of the Britishers and the Europeans into India. India was already trading with Europe. Okay, not only with Europe but all other sides, all other countries of the world. India was, it is told, that it was a trading center, and India is also known as Sone ki Chidiya. You might have heard this. India was known as Sone ki Chidiya in olden times. Why it was known as Sonaki? It was not a sparrow, it was not a golden sparrow, but it was such a prosperous country, such a wealthy country, that it was known as a golden sparrow or a Sonaki Chidiya. Now, most of the trade that was done in past was done through land, and the trade which was done was mainly dominated by the Arabs. Arab tribe were the main people who were involved in the trades at that time. Now, as I already told you that India is was a greatest, or rather a great trade center in the past, so Indian commodities were into a great demand. The first commodity that was into great demand was spices, and in spices, the black pepper or murri, what we call into Gujarati, was the greatest into the demand. Now, why they need it? Okay, why they need it? This was also called as the the gold of the spices. It was also known as the gold of spices. Now, why it was known as gold? Because it is where in India, chili, what we are eating right now, is not a product of India. It actually came from Spain. In olden times, we used to add black pepper into our food for the spiciness. The second thing that was very important for the British Europeans was the clothes, and especially the muslin cloth. Muslin cloth was very important. You might have heard that muslin cloth was so delicate that a whole taka is a type of a measurement of a cloth can be easily removed, can be easily passed through a ring. And the third most important thing was indigo. Indigo means gully. It is a type of a crop which is produced in India and later on processed, and it is helped to dye the clothes into the color of blue. You might have heard your or seen your mother using it. Now you can see this particular picture, trade routes and great empires of first century. Now you can see this particular is known as the Silk Route. That was the route from China to other parts of the world. This was Roman Empire, Parthian Empire, Kushan Empire. In India, you can see India was very famous for muslin, gem, ivory, pepper, etc. And that was sent to the other part of the world through those routes. Now, fall of Constantinople. Now, you need to understand this particular. Constantinople is present day Istanbul. Now, why Constantinople is important? Because in the year 1453, Constantinople was captured by Arabs. Now, Constantinople was known as gateway of Europe. Okay, that was, as I told you, that most of the trade was done through the land, and that's why Constantinople was a very important city in this particular process. It actually connected Europe and Asia, and that's why it was a very important place. Now, in the year 1453, when Arab captured it, this closed the gate for the trade. The trade which was going on from Europe to Asia was closed down. Now, at that time, there were no airplanes, there were no ships. Means ships were there, but they did not do a, you can say, long distance journey. The ancient trade was in danger, so now they need to find a new sea route. Okay, because the land route was already closed. Now, this particular video will tell us about where actually the Constantinople is, or present the Istanbul is. You can say this is Turkey. Here Turkey is there. Then you see Istanbul there. Here is Istanbul. You can see Istanbul there. So it is near Turkey. It is in Turkey. So this is the place. This is all Europe, and this side is Asia, and that. So this is a place where it was connected. Now you can see that the Constantinople city was something like this, and there was a place from where it used to connect. Now this particular part was actually captured by the Turks, and that's why it stopped the movement. It stopped the trade from here to here, and that's why there was a need of finding a new sea route, because Arabs, as we had seen into previous slides, that land was mainly dominated by the Arabs. So here Arabs cannot obstacle the process, and that's why a new sea route was to be found. This is the way how this picture depicts how the Constantinople was plundered by the Arabs. Now there were efforts to find new sea route to India. We are going to see the efforts to find new sea route to India. Now Europeans couldn't do without Indian commodities. Couldn't do means they could not live without the Indian commodities. Commodities means things. Explorers from Portugal and Spain. Now these two countries are very famous for navigation. Now what is navigation? Navigation means basically voyage or journey into the water. Okay. So Portugal and Spain were very important countries for this particular thing. Bartholomew Dias in the year 1488 did the first journey, and he reached a place called Cape of Good Hope, that we will see in the next slide. Another journey was also made by Christopher Columbus in the year 1492, but he, instead of going into the eastern side, he went to the west and ultimately discovered West Indies and America. Later on, America was named after a Italian sailor. His name was Amerigo Vespucci, and on his name the mainland of America was kept. Now West Indies, what we right now have, those countries, okay, players like Chris Gale and others, they are from this particular countries. So this was discovered by Christopher Columbus in the year 1492. Okay, now we in the previous slide we saw that there were many attempts being made to find the new sea route to India for it. Okay, now here you can see the voyage is sponsored by Henry the Navigator. Henry the Navigator was one of the greatest navigators of his time. Okay, so he went till here. At that time there were very hard times going on, and the navigation system, the ship, were not so developed as today. There was no Google map as you have right now. There was no developed navigation system as you have right now, and that's why it was very hard to go into the sea. At the same time, people used to believe that the earth is like a table, and if they will go very far they will possibly fall down off the edges, and that's why they did not travel much. Later on, Dias, okay, later on, Dias, that is Bartholomew Dias, he also made the journey. You can see the orange color there. He also made the journey, but he reached here. Now this particular part, that is the end, is known as Cape. It is known as Cape. Now Cape means the tip. Now this particular part was actually known as Cape of Storm, because there are a lot of storms around here in this particular part. But when he returned back, the king who sponsored his journey, he said that there is a hope that we can find a sea route, we can find our destination if someone passes it, this particular place, and that's why the name of this particular place was kept as Cape of Good Hope instead of Cape of Storm. Later on in the year 1498, okay, another navigator, Vasco da Gama, he took the same route which Bartholomew Dias took, and he passed this particular cape and he reached Calicut in India. Actually, he reached Calicut with the help of an Indian sailor. His name was Ahmad Ibn Majid. Okay, he met um, Christopher Columbus, sorry, Bartholomew Dias, and he took him to Calicut. This is the portrait of Christopher Columbus, and this is his ship. There were fleet of ship. One of them was known as Santa Maria. Now Christopher Columbus, as we have seen already, Christopher Columbus did many of the voyages. These were some of the voyages that he did, and he ultimately discovered this particular part of the world that is known as West Indies right now. Arrival of the Portuguese into India. Now, how did Portuguese were the first Europeans that came to India. We know about it. As I told you, Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese sailor, finally discovered the sea route to India, that we told. In the year 1498, he sailed on the same route of the Dias, that is Bartholomew Dias. Bartholomew Dias did not succeed in finding the sea route, in discovering the sea route, but Vasco da Gama took the same route and he got successful in it. He reached the western coast of India at Calicut. Okay, he reached Calicut, and at that time Calicut was known as Kozhikode. King Zamorin, the king who ruled there, his name was King Zamorin. He was also known as Samudrika. Gave permission to trade with India. He gave him the permission to trade with India. Now this is a very beautiful picture. You can see Vasco da Gama in the court of Zamorin. Now you can see his dressing. Okay, his dressing was very lavish, very decorative, very rich, and you can see the expression on the faces of these people around them. They are looking wondrously at him. They are amazed. Even the king himself is very amazed to see him, right? And the sailor had also brought a lot of gifts along with it to please the king, and in his hand he is having an agreement to trade with India. So this particular picture is a very beautiful picture of Vasco da Gama in the court of King Zamorin. Now creation of the trade center. Once they got the permissions to trade in India, they started taking things from India and selling things into Europe at a higher prices. Records say that they sold things almost 300 to 400 times of the price. What was the main thing that was transported? We had already seen to first slide, mainly the spices, the cloth and indigo. In the year 1500, Portuguese formed trading centers at Calicut. Say, okay, just after 2 years of discovering the new sea route, they formed trading centers at Calicut. In the year 1506, they established trading centers at Goa and Cochin. Okay, so they established themselves into India in no time. They made Goa as their headquarter. Okay, they made Goa as the headquarter to trade in India. Albuquerque, who is this particular person, was appointed as the governor, and he was a very cruel person. He plundered natives. Plundered means he killed a lot of native people and forcibly converted them to accept a new religion. Portuguese became unpopular among the natives. Native people did not like Portuguese. Why they did not like? Because they were killed by the governor. Now this is a map of European settlements in India from 1498 till 1793. Now you can see here those dots. Okay, they are there. This particular symbol is Portuguese. Now you can see here Portuguese, 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 and Portuguese. There is no Portuguese on this particular side of India. Here you cannot find. Why you cannot find? Because Britishers were there. Britisher, French, Dutch established their trading centers on this particular part of India. You can see Portuguese into this part of India also, but mainly if you see the western coast of India was dominated by the Portuguese. Now the arrival of the other communities. Increasing economy of Portuguese. Now after the discovery of sea route to India, the Portuguese became very rich, and other people saw this thing, and that's why they were also attracted to find a new sea route to find a route to India. Encouraged other Europeans to come. See, due to this, as they became richer, their wealth encouraged the other Europeans also to come to India. Various Europeans like the Dutch, the Spanish, the British, and the French came to India into the chronological order. The arrival of the British. British East India Company was formed in the year 1600. This we know. Actually, it was formed on 31st December 1600. It was formed by the permission of the Queen of England. Sir Thomas Roe, this person, first ambassador. He was the first ambassador of Britain into India. He was the first person actually who was to handle the British East India Company into India. He selected Surat as the first trading center. Surat was the first trading center of the Britishers. Later on, they developed trading centers at Bharuch, Agra, Madras, and other places. This is the symbol, this is the emblem of British East India Company. This is the Indian East India Company headquarter. Sir Thomas Roe taking permission from Jahangir. Jahangir was ruling India at that time, and Sir Thomas, this is Sir Thomas Roe and Jahangir into the court of Jahangir. This is trading center at Surat. Various other trading centers were also made. French East India Company, which was formed in 1664. Then Dutch East India Company was formed in the year 1602. Then French East India Company established trading centers at Surat, Machilipatnam, Pondicherry, Chandranagar. Other Europeans were limited to only specific areas, and Portuguese drew them in Goa. This is East India Company, the Portuguese, and the French East India Company.